and welcome to the Scale Modelling Cafe. Welcome to part one of the new project, which is just over my shoulder here. It is the Trumpeter Fulmar Mark 1 in 1/48 scale. Now, ever since this has been announced, I've been very excited to get my hands on it. It's an aeroplane that I think has been sadly underrepresented in the modelling industry. And now we have a modern state-of-the-art tooling, not without its issues. There's one or two accuracy things here and there. But overall, it looks a really, really nice kit. I've done a sprue tour of this, so you can go and watch that. I'll stick a card thing at the end, whatever that is. But that is, as is traditional, if I can get my words out, as is traditional for these part ones, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through some of the aftermarket I've got for this project and just some of the kind of aims I've got with it, what I hope to achieve, and some of the schemes and that kind of thing. So let's delve right in. Traditional itchy nose. Right, the kit itself then, here it is. Kit number is 05822. This is the Mark 1. The Mark 2 is out as I film this, right at the beginning of May 24, is due out very soon. So you're going to have your choice between the Mark 1 and Mark 2. I grabbed this as soon as it came out, the Mark 1, and actually I think I prefer some of the earlier schemes, more of that later. But the stock kit is actually, as you can see, it's quite a small box, but it's a really nice kit inside. There's some raised detail on the rear fuselage, excuse me, which may complicate things a little bit, but we shall see how I get on with that. More of the markings in a moment. So that's the basic kit, but obviously I've gone down the aftermarket route for me. Most of you know that I'm a big fan of the aftermarket and I use it where I can, and this project is going to be no exception. First up is the Edward photo etch set. Now this is what has been delaying the project, because I was waiting for this to come out before starting. I could have done this before I went on leave, but here it is. Colour photo etch bits and pieces for the cockpit, a new seat, which is very welcome. Lots of brass parts as well. And it's going to go a long way, I think, to dressing things up somewhat. So, yeah, looking forward to getting stuck in with that. Also, Edward, is I've got a masking set. Now, Trumpeter include a masking set in the kit. It's in white, quite fibrous paper, so I don't know how clean the cut is going to be. But I thought I'd go for this because I'm probably going to do certainly the forward cockpit open, and I always like to paint the inside of my canopies, windscreens and clear parts if I'm going to do that. So I thought I'd get this. This is the T-face, so this is inside and out. I will try the Trumpeter one as well, and we'll see how we get on. But yeah, I thought I'd go for those. In the cockpit as well, I've got this. This is the interior set from Quinta. Now this is the basic one. They do a bigger one which has got cockpit sidewalls, but looking at it and looking at some of the reference photos, some of that detail, even though it's 3D printed and it is in relief, still looks a little bit flat. So my plan is to combine the Edward set, the Quinta set, and do some scratch building to elevate that detail and create that more 3D effect. That's the plan behind getting those as well. The exhausts in the kit are okay, but you can't beat some Edward brassing, can you? These are for a Hurricane, but it's the same engine, same exhausts, and I'm sure I can wiggle these around to fit. Now, what kit is this for? This is for the Armour Hobby kit, but I'm sure I can adapt them to fit. Obviously, I'll use these on the Armour Hobby, and I've got a separate video on how I paint World War II exhausts. Again, I'll stick a link at the back end of the video for that, and you can go and watch that. But yeah, really, really good, and dirt cheap, only a few quid, so highly recommended. And the last bit of aftermarket I've got is a set of Tempest wheels, which seems a bit weird. Now, the wheels in the kit are a bit rubbish, if I'm honest. The detail is a bit flat, and so I had a look at getting some Hurricane wheels, but the wheels on this are actually quite a bit bigger than the Hurricane wheels. When I just had a look in the stash to see what I've got, then the Tempest wheels seemed quite a good match. So I've gone for these. They're weighted as well, which is nice. Obviously, it's going to be a bit of a complication to try and fit these onto that, but I'm sure I can make that work. But yeah, I think this is going to go a long way to elevate the detail. Not obviously strictly accurate, but close enough, and is going to look, I think, hopefully really quite good. So that's it for the aftermarket. Now, what about the markings? So, as I said, this is the Mark 1, and there's various markings in here, 4 in fact. All of the British Fleet Aeron ones have the earlier markings. So the 1357, I guess, fuselage roundel, and the underwing roundels, the 135 underwing roundels, which I really, really like. I much prefer that sort of higher vis, thicker roundel. To me, it just kind of pops and really contrasts with the camouflage. The later kind of smaller markings with the narrow yellow and white rings on the fuselage and the narrow white in the roundel underwings, much smaller, much more subdued, and kind of, I think, kind of melt more into the camouflage, which I guess is why they did it. But I prefer the earlier markings. There's also the, I think it's Venezuela off the top of my head. Yes, it is the Venezuela aeroplane, which is cool, but I'm a Fleet Aeron aficionado, and that's what I'm going for. Now, one of the markings is really interesting. This one here at the bottom. It has a high demarcation, and the left wing is black. I really like that marking. It's got the B on the roundel, the B, letter B ahead of the roundel. Sky grey as well, which was typical of kind of early war Fleet Aeron. And the fin flash is kind of full width over the whole fin. And I really like that, and it's got a really cool badge on the rudder. Now, the decals in this are crap though. Some of the proportions are off, and the colours are way too bright. They're kind of the pre-war bright blue, bright red. So the roundels are crap. But as many of you probably know, I spray my own markings now, and I've created a set of masks. And here they are on some Amov MiG yellow sort of kabuki type paper. What I'm probably going to do though is I'm probably going to do another print off another set, or cut another set in Oromask 810, the vinyl. And I think the vinyl gives a cleaner cut. But as I mentioned right at the start of this video, the fuselage has, I don't know whether it's supposed to be overlapping plates, the depiction of, but it's got these kind of raised ridges going down. And I think the vinyl might kind of lift in those sort of tight corners. So what I'm probably going to do is use these on the fuselage over the raised detail, and then I'm going to use the Oromask vinyl over the flatter areas. I'm not sure I'm going to go for this particular aeroplane. I really like this aeroplane. I really like the black port wing. However, I do like the underwing roundels, and as yet I've been unable to find an early Mark 1 with the high demarcation line, a black left wing with the thin, or maybe not the thin yellow outline, but the larger roundels underneath. So I'm not going to go for that one, I don't think. What I have found in Paul Lucas's Colour Conundrum vol... No, it's not in the volumes. it's in one of the Sam magazines, is some of these aeroplanes were painted in sky blue instead of the sky grey. And I'm probably going to go for one of those. If you saw my tutorial that I did on how to cut your own design and cut your own masks, I've actually designed it already. That's what the yellow one is. And that has a different letter on it. And that has sky blue up in, I think I'm right in calling it, they called it the number 1 pattern. High. The high demarcation. And it's in sky blue. That looks really cool. The other one that's in the article has got sky blue underneath and then sky grey on the fuselage sides, which is really interesting. But I think that might look a little bit weird. I don't know. So I'm leaning towards the sky blue underside, and I think that would make for a really nice model. Maybe a little bit controversial, but Paul Lucas's research is pretty good. So there we go. That is going to be the plan. And heavily weathered. These things weathered really quite badly. Now there's a kind of a bit of a fallacy out there that said naval aeroplanes were always kept really clean and shiny because of corrosion. The fact is that these aeroplanes were seen as disposable. They weren't expected to last long enough for corrosion to set in. And certainly on a land base, because a lot of these were used as fighter lead-in trainers, then they really did get really quite grotty. And I've got quite a few photos of really quite minging ones, and that's going to be the plan. I found a really good photo of one where the inboard wing sections were really quite faded, and then the wings themselves were noticeably less faded. And obviously the join is on the demarcation for the wing fold, because the wings on these aeroplanes, they kind of fold sideways, a bit like a dead pigeon, a bit like a martlet, down the sides of the fuselage. So obviously that kind of protects that sort of paintwork from the rays of the sun on the top a little bit. And I quite like that demarcation. Lots of paint chipping, lots of paint touch-ups, and really quite grotty. That's the way I'm going to go down. So, as is traditional for me, though, I haven't finally decided on what aeroplane I'm going to go for. It's a bit of a, wait and see. But I really do like that high demarcation. You never know, I might change my mind. We shall see. There we go. Right, I think I'll wrap it up there then. That is the Trumpeter Fulmar Part 1. Part 2 is going to be the cockpit, so maybe a bit of scratch building, well, certainly a little bit of scratch building there just to raise the detail, and incorporating some of the aftermarket sets with a bit of scratch building and what you get in the kit to hopefully produce a quite detailed cockpit. Certainly for the pilot's cockpit, that's going to be open. I think the observer's is going to be closed, but again, no final decisions. There we are. I hope you enjoyed that. I guess join me in part 2 where we crack open the box and get started. So I'll see you then. Cheers. Bye-bye.